Months ago, I found these tiny little critters on AliExpress. And yes, I know AliExpress may not be the best place to buy dolls, but sometimes I was too much in the mood of having cheap dolls than thinking about the consequences and that they are poorly made and yeah. So, all the haters, you can come at me. No problem. I understand you. I know that it's not the best thing to buy dolls in China or from China, but sometimes I can't do it without. So, I bought 3 of these little critters and then I made some sketches, and right from the beginning, I came up with the thumbnail picture you saw and thought, let's do them this way. Today we will care for the moth girl, and yeah, the basic steps are the same on all the 3 dolls, and you will have to sit through the same process in every video, but here we go. Step 1 obviously was removing the eyes and then getting the irises out of the eyeballs, cleaning them off with some acetone, and then painting them in the color I wanted them. For the moth girl, this was plain black, so not a lot had changed. After that has dried, it was just popping the irises back into the eyeballs, and then I could put them back into the heads. From earlier experiments with dolls, I already knew you can just glaze them in the end, and the matte finish that comes through the MSC is gone again. Looking up moths on the internet, I decided to go with the, let's say, most boring one. But I thought, let's just rely on the costume itself and the lines that I tried to get into them. So the first step for me was to design the wings and just put them up to scale for the doll, and then I made the pattern for her dress, body, I think you know what I mean. And that was done in some different ways. First I made the main pattern, then I cut that out, copied that, and cut it into different pieces, so that I have every piece for the different layers of the top half of her top, and can sew them onto each other quite easy. At the start of this designing phase, I thought I wanted to give her a hood where I can knot some yarn onto and use this as her hair fluff thing. But after everything was sewn and I tried it on, I decided to remove it again, because the fluff at the neck was more than enough. After the pattern was done, obviously it was tracing all of this onto the fabric and cutting that out. I only marked where everything has to go, or every piece on the pattern, and I decided to cut them out one by one. So first the neck piece, then the one that comes under that, and so on and so on, and sew them onto each other before I cut out the next piece, because it could get a little bit confusing. In this small scale and with these not so many pieces, it was quite good to handle, but if you do something more complex, it could be confusing quite fast. So first I just folded the seam allowance. Yes, the seam allowance under, pinned it onto the next piece, and then stitched it with a darker thread to have the lines more visible, because I thought that would make it more obvious and give it a little bit more variety. After back and front were done, I had one piece sewn on that went to the back piece through her legs to form this, buck butt end of her buck body. So that was sewed on separately, and then everything was stitched together, and then I cared for the wings. I stitched 2 layers onto each other, put in some wire, and then just basted the veins of the wings onto it by, just basting it into one direction and then basting it back into the other to fill the holes between. To get the neck fluff, I knotted some acrylic yarn onto the hem of the neck part and then just brushed it out. I tried to give it a little bit more color at the roots with some alcohol ink. Not sure about that, but the fluffy neck ruffle looked quite cute. Then it was finally time for the repaint part. Though I wasn't near a printer, I just sketched out the 3 heads and painted the designs that I had decided on onto them. Just for reference, because this time, though I already had designed the 3 critters, I thought, let's try to stick as close to that as possible. And with that, it was the basic stuff, just slapping on soft pastels in the areas you wanted them and defining everything a little bit with watercolor pencils. There is not much more to say about the process, because I think everyone knows it by now. I only had to use 1 layer of MSC between the repaint portions, so I could walk away from the dolls with 4 layers of MSC in total. 2 in front of repainting, 1 between, and 1 last one to set everything. Which is quite nice. Normally I try to limit the layers of MSC as much as possible, because, expensive stuff and toxic and and because all of her body will be covered, or most of her body will be covered, I couldn't be bothered with painting or repainting the body, as nearly all the time. Only when I really know that that the body will be visible, then I will repaint it, but I'm lazy. I'm sorry. Obviously, because she is a moth, she needed these antenna things on top of her head, and I used the horns that were already there and just heated up a needle, pushed it in there, then I glued some wire in there, and because it was quite convenient, I only used some brown lashes that I glued on there, and then some white into her eyes. And after that I could just cut the top lashes, antler lashes, to size, and we had her antennas, which looked quite convincing, I think. Then I glazed her eyes and lips, which made them clear again, and yeah, with that, after some trimming, she was finished enough to first put her into her costume and then care for her hair. I again decided to sew her into her costume because, let's face it, she may be the only one of the bunch that could be redone, but I don't think so. And I really like it, or I prefer it, when the dolls have costumes that stay on and stay in place and don't go anywhere. After I sew her body into the costume, I stiffed out her buck butt thing with the leftovers from the yarn, brushing out the yarn leftovers things. Gosh, talking is so hard. Still warm here. Too warm to think. Too warm to speak English. I'm so sorry. So then I glued all the brushed out yarn that I still had onto her head, and after that was dry, I had to glue on some more because she looked a little bit bald on top of her head. But after that was fixed, I could style it a little bit, and yeah, then I cut the hair, and just for one last detail, because I sketched it, I decided to take out some soft pastels again and just brush them onto the front part of her hair that is hanging down in front of the ear, and melting that in with a straightening iron again. And with that, she was done. We have the first of our cute woodland creatures finished. The next one you will see is this satire deer boy fawn thing. And, yeah. Let me know what you think about her in the comments, and we will see us next time. Bye.